Welcome back to Table Talk. A skate park in McMinnville has been talked about for years, if not decades, and it appears that now we've reached a point of talking about locations. We are joined on Table Talk today by Mr. Justin Scott and Kendra Foust. Welcome to the first time to Table Talk.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all being here. This is exciting to be able to talk about this subject. I know a subject that you guys have dealt with for a while, and now it's I don't know. You hate to jinx anything, say that it's reaching the home stretch, but when you go from talking about just a concept, I guess, Justin, I'll start with you, to now talking about locations, that's exciting.
Very exciting. You know, when Kendra and I were given the challenge of being the lead on a skate park concept, we were on the phone with American Ramp Company, and we were doing this interactive setup to where we had like 30, 40 skaters sitting in a room, and we were there, and we were on the phone, and they were telling us the design and some things they wanted to see at the skate park, and I was nervous as a cat because I'm thinking, what are they even talking about? You know, I mean, I know what a half pipe is and some of those things, but they were throwing out all these things they wanted to see at this park.
Right.
And it was neat because we had someone who specializes in American Ramp Company who specializes in this, and man, they were awesome. They were putting it up there and moving stuff and taking things, and it was pretty cool. I've learned a lot.
Good deal. And we're going to take a look at that design a little bit later on in the program. Kendra, you know, I guess what really helped give this a steroid boost, and for folks that are suffering through stuff like me, you know, that can be a good thing. But I guess is the trust that came along, the Stephen and Kate Smith Community Trust, that really helped take it from being bandied about in talk to really putting this on, like I said, steroids.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor Galligan with Friends of the Greenway actually applied for the Steve and Kate Smith Trust, I guess through First National Bank, is that who that's through? And they were awarded $90,000 for a skate park here in McMinnville. And so once that came through, you know, that really started the push to get this thing done and to start figuring out what we're going to do and where we're going to put it. And I know that I just celebrated my 5 years being full-time with the city of McMinnville, and for 5 years we've been in touch with American Ramp Company talking about how we can make this a possibility. And then I've also been with the city part-time and full-time for a total of 10 years, and I know I've always heard American Ramp Company, skate park, that's something that the community's always wanted to see, so we're very excited at this point, for sure.
So let's talk about, and I'll just kind of go back and forth, and you guys can collaborate on this however you want to. A handful of locations have been thrown out for this park in the city of McMinnville. So I'll let you guys just tackle which ones you want to talk about. Let's talk about pros and cons of each one of these that have been thrown out, and if we miss one, we'll grab it at the end. Ramsey Park.
Yeah, Ramsey Park is a good location. The pros is there's a lot of green space there. We've got a pavilion, we've got a basketball court, we've got parking. We've got a nice playground. It's fairly close to downtown.
Right.
And
there are sidewalks that go to it.
There are sidewalks that get there to it, but no restrooms.
Okay.
I think that's the big con there is there's no restrooms.
There's no restrooms. And of course we take into consideration the people living around it, because we've talked about when the park will be open, at what hours. You know, it's going to be lit, noise. We try to take in.
Yeah, I mean, Ramsey is in a more residential neighborhood than the majority of our other parks seem to be, except for the Civic Center maybe. But Ramsey's more residential, whereas our other parks are sort of off to themselves a little bit.
Right.
Another location that's been thrown about, looking for different things to do with it, and that's the Blue Building. And they've mentioned, I guess, the old for folks for long-time residents in this area, the old croquet courts.
That's correct.
The cons there again would be it's in a residential neighborhood and there's no restroom access, except for in the Blue Building.
Right.
But as far as the location goes, it's actually not bad. It's well located within the area. There are plenty of accessible sidewalks that lead to that area. So again, the only real issue that we come upon there is no restrooms.
Pepper Branch Park.
Pepper Branch is a good location too. We've got in our master plan of putting in some restrooms down there because due to all the kayaking and the boating that we've got, all the fishing, we've got a really nice gazebo that people rent out for weddings and things like
All
that.
kinds of stuff.
And all kinds. So Pepper Branch is a good location. I think one of the things that was mentioned at our last meeting was the accessibility, which we do have some sidewalk, coming down Frank G. Clement to get there. Another thing is the patrolling. They want to make sure we do have a parks officer that does help us, but they want to make sure that safety is number one thing, that there's people down there not doing stuff they are not supposed to be doing, and that it's just being patrolled. It's being watched.
And Pepper Branch is also in a floodplain, so a majority of that is considered floodable, I guess you could say. The likelihood of it being flooded, I think all the way up to almost where the water department has their building, is likely in some instances. So that's another thing we have to take into account with anything that we do at that park, is there's always the possibility of high water.
Speaking of flooding, there have been a lot of people over the last few years, and maybe even longer, flooding to downtown McMinnville and Main Street area. That kind of threw me for a loop when one of the places that was tossed out was Main Street.
Main Street. We've talked about that location quite a bit, actually, because Main Street now versus what it was even 4 and 5 years ago is just totally different. It's full of people all the time. But I think the biggest issue with that location is we just don't think it's going to be big enough at this point.
Some space stuff. I think Everett Brock, was quoted in the paper as 50 feet is really minimum kind of a situation. I think he's got one that just maybe 48, something along those lines. So space just becomes possibly an issue about downtown.
The design that you're going to show later in the show is a 95 by 50.
Okay.
And I think that it's not the 95 issue, it's the 50 part. It's just not wide enough. It's like right at 48. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then a place that you guys call home.
Yeah.
The Civic Center. Justin, talk about that.
Yeah, the Civic Center. Kendra and I, when we first started talking about this, the location that I thought of it immediately, and I think she did too, was between Cat Walker and Ailey Newman Field. In the outfield of Hoover Mill Range, there's a nice little grassy area over there, and it's just a perfect spot. The only thing that we see as an issue to getting there is they would have to skate down our trail to a gravel drive, or they could skate the other way down our trail and walk across the lawn. So we don't have accessibility, which we would have to look at in the future for ADA compliance and all that stuff. But is the accessibility to get in there? It's in a prime location. We've got people that are always constantly walking the trail, playing baseball, playing softball, all times of the year. We're there all the time. It's, again, if we had something going on that we needed to address, we're right there, and it's really a good location.
Yeah.
And it would be well patrolled, because it's always, we always have an officer, that is looking over that specific area. They do go to our other parks, but there's a higher concentration on the Civic Center given the population of people that tend to be there at any given time. So the Civic Center location is probably one of the more prime. You've got the bathrooms, you've got multiple restrooms, really, if you look at, distance from where we're looking at. There's, restrooms there at the comfort station by one of our baseball fields, Edley Newman, and then there's the Jungle Gym restrooms, just right up the trail a little bit. So restrooms are covered, patrolled area. It's going to be, parking is going to be good. Accessibility is, it would take a little bit of work to get it ADA compliant, but we're going to be looking at that almost anywhere we go anyways, really. So.
Recent meeting that was held, Justin, I know that you attended one. We're taping this on the 24th of May, and I think there was a meeting on the last night, 23rd. Safety, obviously always a concern, and you guys talked about that a lot last night.
Yeah, we did. There were a couple things that were brought forth, and they were recommendations that were made. It doesn't mean that it has to be done, but it's recommendations. One of them being that we staffed someone there for the time in which it was open. Which would be kind of difficult because we all have our other jobs, and so it would be, we could still be there to watch and view, but we won't be sitting there the whole time like, business hours. The other thing is the safety of the pad itself, as Kendra mentioned, a 95 by 50. Fencing this thing in we need to have some sort of barrier between the pad and the fence. The fence doesn't necessarily need to be right up on the pad for the safety of the skaters, as well as people on the outside of the fence viewing the skaters. You've probably seen it in the X Games and other things. Boards are known to someone lose one and it fly off, and if it hits a ramp, a 4-foot high ramp, and goes airborne, we definitely don't want someone viewing it to get struck by a
flying
skateboarder, a flying
skateboard.
skateboard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there were a lot of things that we discussed that, again, were recommendations that were made that we need to take into consideration in the placement of this pad, as well as the safety of people viewing it. The skaters want people to have access to sit and watch, so we've talked about some bleachers and different things outside that area to keep those people safe. And
So speaking of viewing, our viewers at home are going to take a look at this full screen, and then we're going to take a look at this here on the table. Tell us what our folks are looking at, right? I mean, this is obviously the concept design by this company. Once again, the company's name, which is in the left-hand corner of the
American Ramp Company.
Okay, and nice layout.
Very nice layout. The skaters wanted something that they could go from one ramp to the next and constantly keep moving. They wanted to be able to come off the half pipe, go down, maybe go over a rail or something, go up on another bank, and then come down and shoot across to another area.
Yeah, one of the things that they talked about a lot was the flow of being able to keep up speed and gain speed, because if you don't have speed, obviously, when you hit one of these ramps, you're just going to fall, or your skateboard's going to go flying, like we talked about earlier. So this design that everyone's going to be seeing, it was actually, designed by the community skateboarders that showed up to that first meeting. They had every bit of say in this design, and it actually, we figured it would be over budget, and it came in right on budget.
Good deal. I guess it's always good when you've got government that's listening to people, taking the folks' ideas and being able to honestly translate that into something that they will be using. So that's good government at work right there.
Well, like Justin said, we were sort of tasked with this, and I'm not a skateboarder, and I don't think that you are a skateboarder. And so, our knowledge of this is quite limited as far as what these actual things are, and the importance of things that skateboarders take into account. We don't really know those things, but they did, and they showed out, and they really, the community did a great job in telling us what they wanted and being realistic about keeping our budget in mind. And it was an amazing thing to see it all come together, for sure.
And like you said, the American Ramp Company has been I guess involved off and on in this project and just getting information for at least 5 years, right? Is that what you said?
Definitely,
at least.
Yeah.
So they've kind of been alongside the city of McMinnville through this entire thing and helping bring this about. Exciting times.
It's very good.
Exciting.
Very.
Yeah.
McMinnville continues to push forward, and so we'll see where this push forward to. Lots of different locations. Be sure and follow this, and hopefully in the not too distant future, while it may not be table talk, that'll be there at the skate park. Maybe Community Insider can get out there and be able to do some stuff out there. So we look forward
Maybe
to doing
we'll see
that.
you on a skateboard soon.
I doubt that. I doubt that. So appreciate it. Justin, Kendra, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today
you,
on Table
Brian.
Talk. We bid you adieu, and we'll join you at this table next week for another exciting edition of Table Talk. Have a great week.